Hey folks, a lot of people are talking about the missing submersible this week, the one that tried to find the remains of the Titanic with a bunch of billionaires in it. Well, turns out it's gone, and we may not be able to find it again. But did you know that there are some people out there that don't even believe the Titanic ever sunk in the first place? In fact, there's a lot of conspiracy theories related to the Titanic, which is something we love to talk about here on Truth Wanted. So if you actually believe in some of this, you should call into the show now because it's getting started. Hello, everybody. I am Objectively Dan, and this is Truth Wanted, the live call-in show that happens every single week, Fridays at 7 p.m. Central Time, where we talk to people about what they believe and why. If you'd like to call us, you can do that. It's 512-991-9242, or you can call through your computer at tiny.cc/. All TW. Truth Wanted is, of course, a production of the Atheist Community of Austin, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the separation of religion and government. And we'd also like to welcome our viewers today who are watching on Twitter and Twitch, and give some love to, of course, everybody watching on YouTube. But that's right, folks. We are also streaming as of today on Twitter and Twitch. So go subscribe to us on there if you're on those platforms, if you want to watch on some other places. But hey, if you're on YouTube, you can also stick around, because I know that's probably where the biggest chat is going to be right now. And we all like talking to folks in the chat. But welcome everybody. And of course, I have to welcome our special guest, because every week we always have a special guest. This week, of course, is no different. It is a pseudo returning guest. I don't know if we count you as a returning guest. But you are back with us again today, Robert, aka the Real Nordic Black. Robert, welcome back to the show.
Hey, I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you. It's an honor.
Yes. Well, so just to clarify, in case you missed it a few weeks ago, we had some technical difficulties in the middle of the show, and we didn't actually get to take any calls with you, Robert. So that version of the show was posted in audio format on Spotify and some other places, but we didn't release it on YouTube just because of some of the errors that were happening there. But we felt bad, Robert, because we want to give you the real Truth Wanted experience. So we got you back.
The real truth.
the real stuff, right? So you're back with us here today, Robert. Welcome back, Truth Wanted.
I absolutely appreciate it, Dan, and I'm glad to be back with you, man.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into you and who you are and what you're about, but before we do that, Robert, we have to go to the We Want the Truth segment, the segment where we talk to you guys, the listeners, about some of the comments you gave for our question. And last week's question, we asked, what is something that is not illegal but should be? And here were our top three favorite answers. We're going to go to number 3 from Don Doan, or Doan, not sure how you'd say that, who says it should be illegal to say you can heal the sick with faith and magic. I say go to a children's hospital and prove it. And yeah, I agree. I think it's bullshit. I really do draw the line with like healing claims. Like if people are saying, oh, take this tonic or whatever in order to work, I say no, fuck those people. Yeah, don't do that. That's fucking with people's health in ways you don't expect, or you may have irreversible consequences, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
So
like in the past when they used to take cocaine and certain other drugs.
Yeah. There's like always, like I think about like Ted Haggard, who like got caught like doing cocaine with a male sex worker and stuff, and like it's like, okay, so some of the people who are saying, oh, you need to be praying to heal yourself, are also like doing all kinds of stuff to self-medicate. Not exactly fair stuff there. But we'll get to number 2. This one comes from Northern Light, who says circumcision should be illegal if in all non-medical circumstances. There we go, got it on screen there. Circumcision should be illegal in all non-medical instances.
Okay.
That's a hot take, right?
Yeah,
there.
it is. I don't
Do you agree with that?
Circumcision should be illegal. No, I don't agree with that. No.
I think the health benefits are overrated, and it doesn't seem like it makes sense to do it when the child can't consent. I feel like if that's something you want to do later in life,
no, I get that.
yeah, and you do it for yourself, I'm cool with that. But if I ever have a kid, I wouldn't want that for them personally. I don't see the benefit. That's my take. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe some of you folks disagree.
Right. I mean, to the point where I said that, should be illegal. I'm not there yet, but
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Absolutely.
Because it is still like I don't know if that's something we'll ever be able to make illegal. I think there's too many people that would call it a religious practice, and it doesn't do enough. I don't know. It doesn't do enough like measurable harm that people would ever make a court case out of it. I don't know. It doesn't seem like
although out here in Europe, as I don't know if the viewers realize, I'm out here in Oslo, Norway.
Yeah.
Although I'm American, African American, out here in Europe, a lot of people, it's not like in America where circumcision is so, regularly practiced. Out here in Europe, a lot of them don't necessarily automatically become circumcised or whatever. But you do have those cases. In fact, I work at a school out here, and there was a child in the fourth or fifth grade. He had a issue with his area, the private area, and he had to get a circumcision. So it was necessary for him medically. So it does happen. It does happen.
I've never heard of an instance where you had to get it done, but I guess it does happen.
Yeah, for sure. I'm telling you.
Let's move on here because I want to get to our number one comment.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then talk to you more, Robert. Our number one comment is coming from Blake Walker, who says, "What isn't illegal but should be teaching children that they will burn in hell." I agree. I agree. 100% agree, because it's fucked up. It fucked me up. It's fucked other people I know up, and it's just bullshit. I don't care. I don't care that you think it's real. Fuck it. Let the kids learn about hell when they're older, I guess. I don't know if you really have to teach it, but like it shouldn't even be taught, period. It's stupid. It's dumb. I there's no like liberal reason I have for it with like, oh, we need to treat these equally to other religious ideas. Like, no, it's a fucking terrible idea, and there's like no good benefits from it whatsoever, pretty much. So yeah, fuck it. I'm done with it.
I definitely agree. I concur.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so this week's prompt. Okay, this is a doozy, ladies, gents, envies. We got a big one. It is, without being abusive, roast objectively Dan, and that's it. This is the big one. Okay.
Uh-oh.
I need you guys to bring the heat. I need you guys to make me feel insecure about myself and never want to appear on the internet again. Just kidding. Don't actually do that.
No.
I get enough mean comments as it is, but like this is your permission. This is your permission to roast me to your heart's content. So that's what we're doing. Next week I want to see the top 3 best roasts of me, and I want to read them. So that's it. This is a good one. And Robert, if you had a roast of me, what would you say?
Objectively Dan.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen you on a bunch of shows. I would say you're so analytical that I heard you carry a mini whiteboard to a family gathering, ready to fact check every story. How about that?
That's pretty good. That's pretty good for on the spot, Robert. That's Jesus.
Also, I bet you're so logical that your favorite pickup line is, "Are you a math problem? Because I love to solve you."
This is too good, dude. Robert's gonna have you guys beat. If y'all can do better than that, I love to see it. But yeah, comment below. Please don't make it too abusive, or else it won't be read on the show. I will not be curating this list, by the way. Somebody else will be curating it, so I'm going to be reacting to it live. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to next week. So we'll get to that. But hey, I am joined here today with Robert, and this is a call-in show, folks. Just to remind you, you should definitely call in. And we got some open lines right now, so I'd love to talk.
Like I said last time, we got Reason in Milan tonight. So y'all, we got a special.
No, I'm really glad you're back, Robert. You are. We joked about this last time. You may be one of like 5 Black men living in Norway. I think is what we came to the conclusion of, right? You are African American, but you do live in Norway. Hence WWTT. You talk about history on your YouTube channel. You talk about anti-racism and everything that comes with that. And you're also a skeptic yourself. So really great to have you on, and hopefully actually take some calls this time and not have some technical difficulties, right?
Right.
Yeah, for sure. So we were talking about, I think, and I'd like to continue this conversation about race in skeptic spaces, because people have different takes on it, and not all of them are equal. You know what I mean?
Right.
What do I
Right.
mean by
Right.
race in skeptic spaces? I mean, we talked about this before, but if you look at the history of online sort of atheist activist content, there's a shift in tone over the years. Not, there's a common belief that is backed up by statistics that most atheists, especially in the U.S., are liberal leaning, left leaning, right?
Yeah.
Which are by in terms of voting categories, right? Which broadly seems to be true, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they accept all the same kinds of ideas. There's a very famous adage of that, getting a group of atheists together is like herding cats, right? It's like
Mm.
it's kind of hard to do that. And like issues about racial justice are also ones where people in our movement, I would say, struggle with this just as much as Christians do. Because, like, first of all, Christians, by and large, it depends on your denomination, of course, but largely speaking, a lot of them, I think, come under this idea of like, well, in Christ, we're kind of all, sinners, so race doesn't really matter. So it's almost
Right.
like this kind of like,
You
oh,
know.
we're kind of blind to race, sort of.
Mm.
And then there's some people that'll say, well, if you're not, acceptant of like critical race theory or the Black Lives Matter movement, that you're not acceptant of the real history and the real struggles that Black folks face, which is a view that I'm sympathetic to, and also other people are sympathetic to, right? It's like, look, like there's
Yeah.
people who are coming from this perspective who are writing about these systems of power and who are skeptical of the narratives, but for some reason, like that's not the kind of skepticism like we want to endorse. I don't know. I said a lot here as a preamble,
Mm.
but
Mm.
I want to continue this conversation, and let's pick up from there. Like, what you're somebody who studies this kind of
Hello.
issue in particular, and so I want to get your take.
Yeah, no, I'm far from an expert, but I definitely get into that when it comes to religion and Black people, and as far as I'm concerned, we've always been critical about religion, from Frederick Douglass, David Walker, we have Zora Neale Hurston, Philip Randolph, and some of these other characters that I
Mhm.
just ran off. That we've always been skeptic and critical of that, in due because of the tie from religion to the transatlantic slave trade, of
Mhm.
course,
Mhm.
and how it was been used to keep us docile, or to justify racism, justify slavery, and all sorts of things. So yeah, and also at the same time we used it to. We were only able to read the Bible for education and literacy and certain things like that, and
Mhm.
um and
Mhm.
and so it's a very it's unique when it comes to the African diaspora, African American experience, especially when it comes to religion and faith in general. Um, yeah, I don't
Right.
know if I, but
No,
yeah,
no. Like, in your opinion, Christianity as a whole, like, do you
yeah.
think for Black people has it been an uplifting thing, or has it been a detrimental thing, or do you think the answer is more
That
complicated?
I think it's a little bit more complicated, more
Mm,
complex, but more so detrimental than not, for
mm,
sure. Leaning more so on that side, obviously.
okay.
I think that it doesn't have the solutions that we need in modern times. I think since probably Martin Luther King's time, I think it really started to decline. When it comes to, but like I said, back then they had it had its moment, where we had a place to organize socially and politically, and and things like that. I mean, there's a reason why the politicians go by black churches every, during election period. I mean, if it had no power, going to the black church, then why do they still go there? You know what I mean? So that's where they still have social gatherings and stuff like that, but it has far less effect on the everyday average black person than it did in the past. So yeah, I think it does more harm than good. I think they could be using the church, using that space to do, instead of using it for church, but using it for different things to
Yeah.
to organize more things. Yeah.
So like there is a complexity, I think, with like when you think about the history of black people in America in
Yeah.
particular and the
Yeah.
relationship with Christianity, right?
Yeah.
In my view, and I think I agree with you, it is complicated in
Yeah.
that it is uplifting, but also it can be detrimental. And other, as you mentioned, black critics have been very critical of it, right?
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
if we're talking about like Malcolm X, for example, like
No.
he was repping Nation of Islam.
Absolutely.
He wasn't doing anything with Christians, as
Right.
far as I'm aware.
Right. Right. Right.
Black Panther Party,
Right.
very famous being Marxist, right? Not really
Right.
endorsing
Right.
Christianity in that sense. So
Absolutely.
like I think there's
There
been
you go.
like this
Yeah.
sort of separation and also an embrace, depending on who you ask,
Right.
on that
Right.
ideology. So
Right.
there's a complicated history there for sure,
Right.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you said, I mean, yeah, and like you said, and there were also social activists within the Christian church,
Mm.
not just Martin Luther King. There's several others. I mean, more than several others. But at the same time, there's the antithesis. But yeah. But like I said, at the end of the day, in my opinion, I believe that it done more harm than good.
Yeah.
Um, um, Ultimately, and now it seems like it's not beneficial for us
Sure.
to remain with the church.
Well,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so there is this stereotype in America, right, of the Southern American. And by the way, I can talk in a Southern accent because I live in Texas, so I'm allowed. I can do
Right.
that. But it's one of those things, right, where if you put on a hick kind of accent and
Hmm.
you talk in a certain tone,
Yeah.
you're endorsing this sort of worldview that is typically one of a fundamentalist Christian,
Yeah.
typically one of conservative politics, typically one of attitudes towards race that are harmful and also towards LGBT people that are harmful. Like when you start to talk
Right.
in kind of that accent, like you're
Yeah.
kind of embodying ideas of the American South.
Right.
But that's really interesting to me because it's also part of the most religious part of the nation, right? The people who go
Yeah.
to church the most.
Bible Belt.
Yeah, right. Bible Belt, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like the people who are the ones who are the most outspoken Christians also
Yeah.
get lumped into these categories, including that of being a racist, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
there's kind of a link there. Why do you think that Americans who also simultaneously identify as the most Christian in some contexts
Oof.
also get lumped in with this category of being racist? Like, where's the connection there, you think?
Hmm. Maybe it does have something to do with the Bible, huh? And some of the
Yeah.
fundamentalist teachings, as they call it. Wow. Like I said earlier a little bit, the history's been there for so long,
Mhm.
where they use the church and the Bible to justify a lot of their bigotry and things like that.
Mhm.
I think that a lot to do with that. Lack of education,
Yeah.
in the South, compared to other areas. Them being impoverished and things like that. Yeah, so that's a good question. That's what but
Yeah.
I would
It's
say those. Yeah.
It's a big question. I don't know. I'm asking because like it seems like ostensibly if
Yeah.
there is a narrative again that says if you believe in these Christian values, racism shouldn't even come up. It shouldn't even be like a
Yeah.
thing, right?
Right.
But
Right.
like
Right.
time and time again, like the most racist people I've ever encountered in my life have also been people who do identify as Christians. Like, and that's not
You brought it.
universally true, right? But like
Right.
that's
Right.
been my anecdotal experience.
Right, and
I
you brought
mean,
a good point. I remember watching the Malcolm X movie, and he was talking about, I think, Denzel Washington playing the character Malcolm X, and I think I've heard Malcolm X say this in some speech somewhere, saying the most segregated hour,
mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
in
Uh,
America is on Sunday. You
Sunday
know what I
morning.
mean? And
Right.
me as a kid, I remember going to the Christian church, and my mother and she was a very staunch Christian, and I used to ask her as a kid and say, hey, why, you said you're a Christian or whatever, and it's supposed to be universal, it's about universal brotherhood, love, and all this. Why do we only see black people in this church?
Mhm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So these are some of the things that I started to question growing up about so I definitely was race conscious. I was conscious about that
Yeah.
when it came to the church as well, as far as on my side of things, you know what I mean? So I was, and they didn't really kind of give me a good sufficient enough answer, and I was thinking, like, why is that? And at the same time, like I said, I didn't really get into too much of my little bio, but at the same time, I grew up both
Mhm.
non-denominational Christian, like the TD Jakes and the Potter House in Texas, and also on my every summer I went to my grandfather, and he raised Catholic. He actually raised my mother to be a Catholic, but when she became an adult, she wanted to drop all those Catholic traditions and
Mhm.
rituals and things like that, and wanted to go non-denominational. And so we were raised both. Basically, I took catechism, as in the Catholic Church, confirmation, and all those things at the same time. On Sundays with my mother, I used to go to non-denominational church. I used to even attend the choir. I was in the choir and stuff like that. My grandfather's from New Orleans, so that's like one of the most highest concentration of black Catholics in America. So Louisiana and New Orleans in particular, he grew up in a all black Catholic school and things like that. So yeah, and he taught me about certain black Catholic saints and certain things like that. So
Yeah.
I kind of got mixed with both worlds in a way. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that I mean like we talked a little bit about it on the show before, but there is such an interesting and rich history of of the black church. I
Yeah.
think there's a
Yeah.
reason why people like it. I think
For
because
sure. The music,
like
man.
white
The
people
music
get jealous.
ministry.
White people get jealous of the black
Do they
church.
though?
They 100% because like
Yeah, yeah.
listen, like the Baptist church that I went to was not rocking as hard as like pretty much every video I've
You
ever
know?
seen of a black church. Okay, I'm sorry, it's the truth, right? It's like, look, there's a sense
Facts.
of
Facts.
real joy that comes in that kind of like
Right.
worship session, and
That
uh
praise and worship service is a beast. When you
that's real.
first start walking in, before the choir even starts,
That shit'll
you
make
know,
you believe in God. I'm telling you,
absolutely
like that shit is like
real,
that's different. It hits
real,
different.
real talk. And the thing is, to be honest, it's funny you mentioned that is because even although I'm an atheist,
Mm,
I still get emotional sometimes when
yeah,
I hear certain gospel songs.
yeah,
And that doesn't mean I don't, just because I'm an atheist, I dislike, gospel music, I like, so yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So that's another subject in itself.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I honestly, we could talk about this all day because, like,
Yeah.
it's such an interesting. What we should have been able to talk about, honestly, is the recent decision with the Southern Baptist Convention. Because
Mm,
if you're not familiar, the Southern Baptist Convention recently, uh, there was a church that had a woman as a pastor, and they were like,
mm,
"Oh no, we can't have that shit." So they voted against it, and now this church is no longer a member, along with some other churches that had elected a woman pastor to their leadership. And this
right.
entire political body, right? Like the entire reason the Southern Baptist Convention exists is because they wanted to break away from the main Baptist convention because they
Mm,
wanted slavery. Like that is like their whole thing. They're like, no, actually, we're chill with slavery. They're like, we're cool. So it's like, man, maybe I don't know. I don't know. Maybe if you guys were wrong about that one thing, you might be wrong about this take too.
Right.
Like, I don't know.
Right.
You think, but
Right.
but like that's like a real. I don't know. Like I don't see when people talk about how great Christianity has been for Black people as a sense of like culture as and you know the community spaces. Like I can see that, but at the same time, it's like there are literally Christians that didn't believe that Black people had souls. Like that. You know how.
You know,
Just because
absolutely.
it's changed a little bit today doesn't mean that the cultural ramifications of that separation still aren't here today. I mean, I still think like racism is prevalent in a lot of
Absolutely.
church spaces, right? So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't know. My takes, Robert. But anyway, but we do have to move on. I would love to hear your thoughts on what our callers have to ask about. And folks, you guys should call in. We are happy to talk to you, and we are going to talk to some more folks in a second, and maybe we'll get a truth bomb in today as well. I did say I want to keep doing some of those, so we'll get to that. But we do have a patron of the week that we need to give a shout out to first. So let's go ahead and do that. Our patron of the week this week is going to appear on the screen in just a second, because every single week we always give a shout out to at least one person on Patreon. To the folks that donate, everybody rocks, but we always give a shout out to one person. So this week we've got Skeptic Cody. What a combo. Skeptic Cody. I like that. Skeptic Cody, thank you so much for being a patron, and thank you of course to everybody who donates. It's tiny.cc slash it's not called TW. I was looking at the chat right. Tiny.cc slash Patreon. TW, I think is what we got here, but the link is in the description. You shouldn't listen to what look. Does anybody actually listen to the person say it out loud? It's like, okay, wait, I got to rewind and then type it in, or do you just go to the description? I go to the description personally, but maybe I shouldn't speak for everybody, right? So anyway, Robert, we do have a couple people who want to talk to us. You ready to talk to some folks?
Let's go.
All right, let's do it. We're actually getting to talk to people today, Robert. It's gonna be great.
All
right. It's a good time. First, let's talk to Richard, who's calling in from Arizona. Interesting question here, Richard. Richard, you are asking about signing a contract for our souls, and would we do it? What's up with that, Richard? You're live on Truth Wanted.
Yeah, so like, some eccentric person has a suitcase. Opens it up. There's $1 million in there. He says, all you have to do is sign, I want to buy your soul for this $1 million on this contract. Would you do it?
What does that mean, though? Does that mean they can take me in the afterlife, or like what are the ramifications?
I don't know what it means. For all intents and purposes, your soul belongs to. You don't know what's going to happen. You know, he just said, "I want to buy your soul for $1 million."
Fuck that, then. No, I don't. Wait, I gotta know. I gotta understand the terms and conditions. Okay, this isn't just. I'm not downloading iTunes and clicking agree here. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a big deal. I gotta figure this shit out. Absolutely. I don't know about that.
Yeah,
that's a no-brainer there. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, damn, Richard, would you sign?
You know, it wasn't nothing important. Pardon me?
Would you sign a deal like that?
Oh, no. No, that's
you got to think about it. It was you know.
He wasn't sure. He was like $1 million.
Oh, you know why wouldn't you? Yeah,
well, I mean,
have a soul. I was like thinking, why wouldn't I?
Okay,
I don't know.
But dude, if the devil is showing up and is giving contracts, I might have to rethink the whole soul business. You know what I mean? Like, I might have to
real quick
reevaluate my Bayesian priors. Okay, like something's not right there. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know, Richard.
Right, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. Would you go ahead?
It was just a crazy hypothetical question. It was off subject, but anyway, just thought I'd throw that at y'all to see how y'all would react.
Yeah, my reaction is what the.
We need more information. That's how we react.
Richard, that is a crazy
Okay,
hypothetical.
I'd put more time in that. Shoot. Yeah. Okay, well, anyway, thank you so much for letting me on, and I'll let you get back to other callers with other more important things to chat with you about.
Thank you for that, Richard. We'll go ahead and let you go. That's like the
All right,
shortest call we've ever had on the show. Like, got to be one of the shortest ones. Oh my God.
Right.
What a crazy story.
Right.
What do you even do with that? Did Richard expect us to say yes? Who's going to say yes to that?
Yeah, exactly. You gotta. we need to know what we are dealing with. What? Yeah.
Yeah, for real. I wouldn't sign my soul for God either, by the way. If this is like an NBA draft situation, like maybe I would want to play off, see if they got some counter offers or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you can do something with this. Like suddenly, oh wait, now my soul's worth something to
Yeah.
somebody. That's
Absolutely.
interesting. Don't know how that plays out there. Okay, that's like the shortest call ever.
I love the random. I love the random questions.
That
go.
was super random. That was super
Let's
random.
go.
I am gonna go ahead and give a few announcements since we got through with that. But look, we do have a limited edition T-shirt in our store right now that says "I finally got a ghost on tape." Now I need to call Truth Wanted, and it is a ghost that is taped on the shirt, not like actually, but like printed, and it's great. It's a great bit. Shout outs to Greg James, our executive producer, for coming up with that idea. And of course, we have all of our regular merch in the store as well. So check out that if you're interested, tiny.cc/merch ACA. And great announcement for you here. We have our annual Bat Cruise happening Saturday, August 26th, 2023. You should join the ACA for a fun summer evening on the water, conversing with like-minded free thinkers. Forrest Valkai is going to show up there. J Mike is going to show up, and other hosts from Atheist Experience, Talk Heathen, and the nonprofit. They're going to be on board to mingle and chat for a 2-hour cruise around Lake Lady Bird.
The flagship show.
Yeah. So you guys should go. We go under Congress Avenue Bridge in Austin, which has bats under it. So that's why it's called a bat cruise. We literally just all get on a boat. And it's one of the world's largest urban bat colonies. So you should definitely check that out. Tickets are on sale right now. Unfortunately, I am not going to be able to make it this year. And this is the first time I'm not going to be able to make it since I've been hanging out with the ACA, and besides like the COVID cancellations and stuff. So too bad for that. But you should definitely go if you think it'd be cool. So yeah, you should go too, Robert.
Yeah, I will take a flight from Norway all the way to Austin.
Absolutely. What's that like? Like $10, $20, right? Conservatively, something like that. Pretty easy stuff. And one more thing,
especially now that the Norwegian kroner is the value is going down.
Is that what they're called? Kroners?
Crowns.
Crowns.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, in English is more so crowns, but kroner. Norwegian kroner.
There's a lot to that mysterious land you live in that I don't know enough about, frankly.
Yeah.
But one more thing I got to get out of the way. If you want to hear our content in audio only form, you can visit tiny.cc/AEN podcasts for all of the latest shows, including this one, Truth Wanted. So check that out if you haven't already. Let's go to another call while we can. Robert, let's talk to Tim, who's calling from Washington. Tim, you are live on Truth Wanted. What's up?
Hey there, Dan. Long time no talk to you. How you doing?
Doing great, Tim. Longtime listener of the show. Love it when you talk because you always have great things to talk about. What do you got for us today, Tim?
Today, first thing I wanted to kind of sort of answer the question that you had up about the Earth being hollow. It's really interesting because I think, yes, the Earth is hollow if the core ever stopped moving and was no longer molten. But that's a different subject altogether. I wanted to talk about Pride because Seattle's Pride is this weekend, and I'm honestly a little afraid to go there because there have been nationwide some Nazi groups and some MAGA groups that have gone into, and I think there were at least 2 different Pride events that had shootings. And, you know, it's sort of scary to go into a midst of whole bunch of celebrants of our Pride and remembrance of the drag queens who started the riots in Stonehill in 1969 to begin all of our progress that we've made over the last 40 years. And to have that fear in the back of our heads that we may be shot up for no apparent reason other than the fact that we are simply LGBTQ. And so, I mean, I just wanted to put that out there, and to also, I know that you have LGBTQ and allies who listen to this show. Please, over the Pride celebrations, let's all be safe and let's all be aware, and let's all try to stick together and don't be heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a lot of thoughts on that. Robert, what do you think?
No, I agree. We got to be aware of those things going on. There's a lot of hate groups try to infiltrate a lot of these festivals and movements. I mean, out here in Norway, they had one. I'm sure you heard of it. A mass shooting out here, which is not too far from my apartment here, walking distance. At a I think it's called a London pub or London gay bar pub or whatever in downtown Oslo, and I used to go to the pub right next door to it, and actually they end up shooting and killing not only the people in the London gay bar, homosexual bar, the next door bar. There was a lot of people being shot up as well. So like I said, once you start to target and a certain group, it usually spills over to other to everybody else. I think, you know, that nobody should be oppressed and stuff like that. But no, yeah, these I would agree and take precaution and take heed.
The thing is, Robert, like I grew up in a time where I was taught that racism was over, right? Which isn't true. And I think like we're kind of seeing this narrative sometimes that like, oh, homophobia is like kind of over, right? Like, oh, like gay people have rights now and stuff, right? So what's the big deal? Obviously, trans people are still struggling to get their rights. Gay people are still struggling to get their rights worldwide.
Absolutely.
And it's like, look, the point of Pride is to show a sense of progress and a sense of acceptance of this community, right? It's to say like, hey, look at the struggles that we've got to get here and look how far we've come. And you're right, Tymm. Pride is felt different this year. There's a lot of fear in the air. Target took away their Pride merchandise in their stores for fear of harassment towards their employees and maybe for lawsuits. I don't know. That's a difficult decision to make. And that's a kind of telling of the times, I think. And in my anecdotal experience, I haven't seen as many organizations or companies go as hard for Pride this year. You can look at the stuff that happened with Dylan Mulvaney, right? When the Anheuser-Busch situation, where they literally just gave a can to Dylan Mulvaney with Dylan Mulvaney's like face on it. Didn't even sell it in stores. And people were just like freaking out because, oh, this is a trans person. And so now I don't want to support the beer company that gives a free can of beer to a trans person, I guess. Like that's how deep this hate really goes, right? And it's unfortunate that there are a lot of bad actors out there who are really trying to like agitate, like, the already tense situation with the LGBT community in the rest of the world, as far as like them being here and comfortably being here. The fact that LGBT people have been more represented and have been more the issues have been more addressed than ever has made some people nervous. And so they want to really kind of shift that power dynamic back and make people afraid again, because that's what it used to mean to be LGBT. It meant to be afraid to be in public and not have pride. Like pride was not always a thing. That's like, I don't know, we really can't take this stuff for granted. So I don't know what the future is going to hold, Tymm. I really hope that you know, the next generation is going to feel safe in coming out in their sexual orientations or gender identities, and that they don't have to face violence or discrimination. But it's not right now. We're still having to struggle for that, and we may always have to struggle for that. I don't know. I don't know, but it's very hard. And I hear you, Tim. I really hear you.
I agree. I agree with you.
And it's really odd. It's really odd too, because many of us can sort of hide who we are. You know, I mean, we are quote unquote straight acting, right? We can sort of blend into the general populace. We aren't like our black brothers and sisters who can't hide who they are. They literally are who they are. Period. They can't blend in, and so we get that strange little bit of white privilege if we aren't out and proud and say, look, I'm flying my pride flag high, and this is who I am. And we are the ones that get targeted, right? We are the ones who get met in the back alleys with baseball bats or something, because we are proud. We do wear our pride clothing and all of this. And what's really odd is, going back to what y'all were talking about at the beginning, it's really strange that we have to fear even being out based on this myth that was written thousands of years ago, thousands of years ago, about this mythological being in the sky that gives us arbitrary laws about who we are supposed to be and who we're not supposed to be, and who we're supposed to like and who we're not supposed to like, and how we're supposed to act and how we're supposed to dress and how we're supposed to eat. It gives us all of these limited ramifications, all based on a myth. It's like Odin coming down and telling us that we cannot move into the Germanic area because we are Nordic. And so, I mean, it's really odd that we have to fear being who we are based on a myth. And I guess that's really where my passion lies. Let's call the myth a myth, and let's bring this down so that we can actually say people got to be people, and there is no pie in the sky person who only blesses certain people and sends the others to eternal torment. Anyway, that was basically what my call was all about. Is I just want us to be free. I want us to be safe, but I want us to also enjoy our personhood as a community, because we have great allies and we have awesome people in our community. And I love my LGBT brothers and sisters.
Yes. And for the record, go ahead, Robert.
No, I love what you said, Tim. And linking a lot of the, like you said, the pie in the sky and the teachings that are teaching this ignorant stuff. You know, a lot of, like, that's why I like platforms like Truth Wanted and other platforms that are fighting against that, to dismantle this stuff. You got people coming from different angles when they, you know, like Truth Wanted against religion, and you got some people talking about the policies, and you got some people tackling it from the archaeological historical side of things. So you got different people tackling these myths and these lies and these
I think at the end of the day, a lot of that, you know, this kind of using the Bible, using these myths to justify this hatred, it's almost an afterthought. It's really a post hoc rationalization, right? I think the bigotry is just there, and you want to find stuff, because look, how many liberal theologians have come up with new ways to say, oh, look, the word homosexual wasn't actually written in the King James Bible until the beginning of the 20th century. You know, like that's like a thing that's happening on TikTok right now, where it's like, okay, maybe they didn't use that word, but like the hate was still there. Like, what are you going to do with all that? You know what I mean? So, you know, it is really frustrating. But I will say this, Kelly. Sorry, not Kelly. Tim, I see Kelly off on the side here on our off.
Yeah, and he's
off
funny
here.
too. That was a funny.
Kelly's great too. But here's the thing, Tim. The biggest, besides people saying I need to shut the fuck up and I talk too much, the biggest complaints we really do see in all ACA content is that why we talk so much about LGBT issues. Seriously, that's like one of the biggest things we see. Because people really do not understand why the fuck I'm here, why the rest of us are here. I'm an activist, motherfucker. Okay, I'm gonna shut up when the work is done, but the work is not done. Okay, like I'm not here just for my own self-interest. Yeah, I'm a straight cis white guy. I have a lot of privilege. I don't get anything from benefiting from the rights of LGBT people other than the fact that they're people I care about and they're my friends and I want them to live good lives because they deserve that, right? There's a lot of people who really don't get why we talk about it as much. A lot of people say, "Oh, they're talking about this issue again," or "Oh, they have another host."
It's not the popular. Community. It's not the popular, subject to get into if you want likes and views. But it's necessary. Yeah.
Look, I like why the fuck are we here if not to change the world? Right? Yeah, what do we do? We're saying, oh, look at these people for being dumb, for believing what they believe. No, it's like, look, there's danger out here. Yeah, I want you to eliminate that danger. And just because it's 2023 and it's not 1923 or 1823 doesn't mean we can't go back. Like, doesn't mean it can't get real, right? Because it can. Right. We've already been seeing that. There's too much violence that says otherwise, right? But anyway, Tim, I appreciate you talking about it. I hope we do have to let you go because we got to talk to some more people, but I do hope you feel safe this month, whatever you decide to do. And anybody who's listening, I stand for you. I don't care what the fuck people say.
Absolutely.
They can go to hell. I don't give a fuck. They can go. You should be talked about, and you shouldn't have to hide your identities. You should
Absolutely
be who
not.
you are. So, anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Thanks, Tim. Go ahead and let you go. But
all right.
Great call. And now we have to talk about it. Anyway.
Take care, Tim.
Robert, that's me talking for a long time. And people complain about me talking for a long time. So
yeah.
What do you think about that call?
No, I think that was a necessary call. I think it was a good subject to bring up.
Yeah. I think what Tim's talking about is real, right? Yeah. It's like it's something in the air. Whether maybe it's the change in Twitter leadership, maybe it's the rhetoric, the algorithms are showing up differently. But the world,
it's always been always been there. The bigotry there has always been there. It's just seems to be turning up. A bit. Because some of these politicians are they're trying to repeal these laws and these and things, trying to go backwards, man.
I don't think we need to say any more to it. I think we've made our peace on that. But real quickly, I do want to let you know if you're going to be in the area in Austin this weekend, I'm going to be hosting on Talk Heathen this weekend, and it's going to be Jamie, the Blind Limey. I think it says on here, but actually, I think we might have changed that. I'm not sure if that's true anymore. I think the script was wrong. I think it's going to be myself and another host who maybe we don't want to say yet, but I'll have to check in on that. Maybe crew can double check, but yeah, I am going to be here this weekend, and also Atheist Experience is going to be hosted by Chris Powell and Jimmy Jr. So doors open at noon. Hope to see you there. Of course, all of our shows are free to attend, so go check that out this weekend. We'll love that.
So that one's gonna have a live audience, right?
Yeah, live audience. We're gonna be in studio at the Atheist Community of Austin Free Thought Library, so you guys should come check it out. We'll have a good time. Another thing as well, if you want to email the show, it's truth@atheist-community.org. If you want to get my attention, emails are better than comments, but comments are also good too. I do usually read comments, but emails are a great way to reach out. And also, you can reach out to the ACA at TV@atheist-community.org and see what's going on our website at atheist-community.org. Who would have thought? Kind of the same thing.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Come on, guys.
Host Crew saying Jamie is a co-host this Sunday. I thought I must be thinking of next Sunday because we have a special guest coming. I think that's going to be at a different time. So yeah, Jamie is going to be there. for that. But anyway, sorry for the confusion. Let's go ahead and keep going. Except one more thing, there is a Facebook group as well. You should check out the Facebook group and join on there. Have a conversation with the other folks. It is by fans for fans. So something to chat with people about. I'm not making any sense, Robert. I think we should move on because
Let's go.
I completely dropped the ball on that announcement, but maybe I won't drop the ball on this next call, right? Let's see what I got. We're going to talk to Arlindo.
At least they got that's why they got visuals, man.
That's right. The visuals
right.
are there so that when words fail me, the pictures can keep you entertained. We have Arlindo who's calling in from the UK. Arlindo, you're live on Truth Wanted. What's up?
Hi guys, thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely.
From a place of, hi. Yeah, it's really late here. It's nearly 2 o'clock.
Yep.
Well, appreciate that you're watching the show. Really do.
Yep. I can attest to that.
What did you want to talk about exactly?
Yeah, I was just about to go to bed, and then I just decided to call the show at the last minute. But nice. I wanted to talk about critical race theory, and I'm coming from a place of skepticism. And everything I know about critical race theory, or my vague idea of it, probably comes from right-wing propaganda. It doesn't mean that I'm a right-winger, but I tend to try to listen to both sides of the political spectrum, in the spirit of Thomas Ferguson. And I really I would like to hear your take on it, because I've got this niggling doubt. I keep asking myself, isn't critical race theory the subject?
I can hear the last part.
Ooh, Arlindo, are you still there? I think you might have cut out a little bit.
Using.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm still here.
There you go.
The last thing we heard, you said what? Yeah. Can you explain what your thought is about critical race theory again?
Yeah. Well, admittedly, I don't know much about critical race theory.
Okay.
The little I know is from, right-wing propaganda. I'm not a right-winger, by the way, but I tend to talk both sides. But are we doing the opposite of what Martin Luther King intended with critical race theory by focusing on skin color rather than judging people based on their character and actions?
Okay.
So that's
Arlindo.
Yeah, go on.
We'll get into it. We'll get into it here. So here's the deal. Here's an interesting thing, because you did admit, and I appreciate you saying this, that you don't know much about critical race theory.
No.
But you question its validity, and you're asking, well, isn't this go against what Martin Luther King Jr. is asking? Okay. But you do admit that maybe this is the result of right-wing propaganda. And you're absolutely right. It is the result of right-wing propaganda. You know how many people actually study critical race theory? It's a very, very small number of people. Here's what happens. Remember a couple years ago when Jordan Peterson was popping off, right? What was Jordan Peterson talking about? What was one of his most favorite things? Marxism and postmodernism. If you ask the average American to describe Marxism or to describe postmodernism, I guarantee you, maybe 1 in 10 will give a real definition, right? The rest will probably are just going to give you something that they've heard. And that's what proponents who put these ideas out there are interested in doing. They really want to put these ideas into your head and say, okay, you should be scared of this phenomenon that's really difficult and hard to understand. And here, I'm going to tell you why you should be scared of it, right? The same thing with postmodernism. Postmodernism is not even a coherent ideology within itself. It is really a loose collection of themes that can describe anything from literary theory to architecture. It's very wide ranging, and critical race theory is the exact same thing. Critical race theory, while its most notable contributions, I would say, or arguably its most, not notable, but most well-known contributions have been in legal studies. For the most part, it is also a wide-ranging set of ideas that come from different authors who believe in different things. In other words, there's no one coherent definition of critical race theory or one coherent set of principles that would be reflected across all critical race theorists' work, and people take advantage of that to say, well, I'm going to tell you what this is and why you should be afraid of it. There's, kindergartners are not learning about this, right? Like the Harvard law students are going to be maybe talking about it, but like for the most part, besides specific school curriculums that do talk about the history of like racial injustices, like it's not even a thing that people should be really worried about as far as like, upending the social norms or whatever. Like I think that's what's so frustrating when talking about this, because yes, it is a complex and diverse subject matter, but it's also not just like one thing. It's several things that can, be broken down into a wide variety of issues and topics. But anyway, Robert, would love to hear your take on this.
Yeah, CRT, like you said, it examines racism in the intersection with power, law, society, not just about individual biases, but systemic racism, social structures, institutions. And it aims to uncover and challenge the system of racism and things. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's basically just about raising awareness, isn't it? Critical race theory is about raising awareness of
absolutely.
What's going on.
Definitely you can say that.
One of the themes of critical race theory is that it examines the way in which U.S. law in particular, and also economic structures within the U.S. and class structures have affected the Black community. And so, obviously that takes a negative look at America, right? Which is like against every right-winger ideal. Like if you're a right-winger, you want to say, oh, America's awesome and it's the best thing ever. MAGA, right? Make America great again. We want to go back to what it used to be, which was when, white people were in the dominant power group, right? And so like, yeah, that's what critical race theory does is does examine a lot of that in a negative light, in a critical lens. Like you don't even have to necessarily believe in some of the conclusions of particular scholars to know that, yeah, like America's a fucked up place and it's done fucked up things to Black people. Like I think that's like that's what especially frustrates me with this. I don't know.
I mean, it acknowledges things like housing discrimination, redlining, things like that. There was an article that I posted today that recently came out. It was about how they did a research about how was it 4 out of it was a large group, 40% or something like that. I don't have the article right in front of me, but anyway, they were about how many people had when it came to banking, excuse me, about getting banking loans and stuff like that. So I mean, it's talks about the historical legacy, structural inequality, impact on communities, housing policies, intersectionality, stuff like that.
Yeah. So a lot of ideas that Go ahead, Arlindo.
A lot of ideas. You mentioned postmodernism, and it's funny because right-wingers like Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro, they make it sound like an entire generation has been brainwashed by philosophers like Foucault and Derrida, and basically, they say, that all meaning is being destroyed with this radical change from the, and he's even published a book called Maps of Meaning, and then he brings his his traditional ideas. And if people don't look deeply into this, they just get a very narrow view of postmodernism from people like Jordan Peterson.
Yes, if like the most Go ahead, Arlindo. Sorry, I'm interrupting.
Yeah, no, sorry. I just, because I've heard so much from the conservative side, I just really wanted to get your take on these ideas, because I don't think I've heard enough. And the last thing I want is to be deceived by propaganda. I just want the facts and the reasons why people are trying to change things towards progress. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, no, I hear you on that. Yeah, you'd be hard pressed to talk to a critic of postmodernism that has actually read like Derrida or Foucault or anybody, right?
Mm.
You know, like I, you know, as someone who actually had to read postmodern texts in college, get especially biffed at this stuff because it's like this stuff is dense and it's hard. And yeah, some of it doesn't even make any sense because there may be particular contexts in which a lot of the writing is put to, but that's the thing, right? It's such a complex and diverse set of ideas, some of which who say maybe have been, you know, lived past its prime. Some people say postmodernism is dead and it doesn't even affect our cultures today. Now, interestingly enough, when folks,
Bell Hooks.
yeah,
She's one as well.
right. Interestingly enough, I do think there is a lot of the political movements that we've seen worldwide, but in the U.S., that do have its roots in postmodernism. CRT is a result of postmodernism. Like, don't get me wrong, it is. Like, it's part of that same sort of branch of ideological development because of its common themes, right? The people who are writing the first works for CRT were looking at postmodern literature, you know, that was coming out at the time, right? Like there's a very big throw line and ideas of intersectionality and ideas of
Identity.
feminism, for example. Like a lot of like the developments we have today also come from postmodern theory, right? Genderqueer theory is also a result of like postmodern theory, right? So you know, there's these big branching webs of ideas that you just have to sit down and read scholarly works for a long time to like really understand. It's not even something I can really capture or convey in a show like this. So how the hell can Ben Shapiro do it on his show in 10 minutes or Jordan Peterson, right? They really can't, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's right. I wouldn't expect you to. I know it's
Yeah.
very fast topic, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. But I appreciate you asking about it, Arlindo, because it is a big deal, right? Like how many people are using critical race theory as a wedge issue, particularly here, right? There's so many politicians that are saying like, look, we don't want this stuff taught to our kids. You know, this is like kind of upending the social order. Because yeah, it does. Like critical race theory does challenge conceptual norms about America and its institutions. So people are afraid of that.
Yeah. Yeah,
They
that's
don't like
right. The conservatives make it really alarming, you know.
Yeah.
I think they're mostly afraid of change, you know, like the
Absolutely. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I would agree with you. But yeah, so folks at home who don't know anything about critical race theory, if you don't know anything about it, does that mean you should be afraid of it? Because the other people are telling you to be afraid of it?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
It's kind of like how they're using the word woke now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Woke is like kind of pejorative, right?
We must be open to new ideas and progress. Yeah.
No.
Before I let you go, I'm going to ask you one question before I let you go. Have you guys ever seen a UFO?
I've seen unidentified flying objects. Yes. Do I think they're alien in origin? No, I don't think I've ever seen anything alien in origin. What do you think, Robert?
I haven't seen any UFOs, but no, I wouldn't believe that there's any aliens flying around and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope. I don't believe in that. No.
Yeah. So that's it. That's all we got, Arlindo. We got to talk to some other folks, but thank you so much for calling in and calling in from the UK. That's a long distance, almost as far as Norway, right?
Yeah. It's not too far from me. Yeah.
So, any thoughts on that call, Robert? Any final words?
No, I think that was pretty good. That was postmodernism and CRT and UFOs. I like that.
I love it. I can't wait to read the comment section later. That's going to be a really fun time, right? Super cool. And not just because you should be roasting me, because you should be roasting me in the comment section if you haven't.
You guys need to do that
already.
Drop it in the comment section. Come on, let's go. Let's get it.
I want to hear it. I'm ready for you. But listen, have you ever said to yourself, I really love the content the ACA creates, but I wish there was a way I could get it all the time? Well, so if I have something for you, we have 2 24-hour live streams that are happening, and you should check out both of them. I guess we got them on Twitch as well as YouTube, so go check out both of those streams. Atheist Experience is going to be most of the clips on there, but hey, there's some Truth Wanted, Talk Heathen, and other shows that we've had in the past as well, including some clips of me in there. So if you like me, I'll be on there, but also all the hosts that have pretty much ever hosted are going to be in those clips. So check it out. There's pretty much always people in the chat, and it's pretty fun. So go to those 2 links on the screen there, both tiny.cc links, and check out the 24/7 live streams. Fun times. I need to read a super chat as well that I missed earlier, and I need to also make sure that I'm looking directly at you guys in the camera. I'm about to get a new table this weekend that's going to like move my camera around, and it's going to be great. So sorry guys, I know you guys been saying you need to look at the camera more, and that's what's happening.
Well, I'm almost cross-eyed, so it's like,
yeah, my setup is suboptimal right now. But we did have a super chat. It's from Antoine Gomez, who donates 99 Mexican pesos, who says, when the Titanic sunk, a gate under the hull was mysteriously opened by a hand which caused the ship to actually go down. Inside job.
You sure you want to open Pandora's box? You sure you want to go there?
listen. All right, we haven't even talked about Atlantis on this show, but there's like some people that legit think that like mermaids and shit sunk the Titanic. Like that's the thing. That's the thing. So,
hey, the super chat, did it pop up on the screen?
We didn't have it on the screen, but
the visual. Okay, I got you. Yeah, I got you.
The crew is getting those for me to read. So thank you everybody who gives me some of those super chats. Absolutely. We will read more if you decide to donate. Let's see. What do we want to do next? Okay, I think we want to talk about. Let's talk to Wesley, who's calling in from West Virginia. Wesley, you are live on Truth Wanted. What's up?
Hello. Yeah, I'm Wesley Lawrence Curry II. I like him. I'm in Huntington, West Virginia.
Okay.
Great. Welcome to Truth Wanted. Wesley, what can we talk to you about?
Well, I believe that you were attacked spiritually. And I want to help you understand what it was that attacked you so that you won't be fooled by it. And I would like to also tell about what is shortly to come to pass.
Okay, wait. Me, Objectively Dan, I personally have been spiritually attacked.
Yeah. I believe we all were.
Everybody. On Earth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, I'm listening.
How do you figure?
The words, I will turn and toss you violently like a ball.
What does that mean?
October 10. It doesn't mean anything. It was the devil. It was Satan himself. October 10, 2005. And he attacked me. It paralyzed me in my bed like I was being electrocuted. Like a fire pulled down from heaven upon me. I couldn't move, totally paralyzed. And in my mind, the insult, I will turn and toss you violently like a ball, the words of Satan himself. He had perverted words that Jesus wrote in Isaiah chapter 22. The words that Jesus said were, the Lord will turn and toss you violently like a ball into a large country. There thou shalt die, and there the chariots of thy glory shall be the shame of the Lord's house. So that was the first attack.
Okay. That's a very intense experience.
Yeah, it was. It was not pleasant at all. Yeah. And then I believe he attacked everybody saying the words, don't tell the vision. Precisely March 31st, 2020.
Okay.
So that's two of the big attacks.
So it sounds like that these are experiences that happened to you that you believe happened.
The second one he did not enter me, and I did not hear him say it. I only perceive it. I wasn't paralyzed that night. I was sitting in a chair in my apartment in Wayne, West Virginia, and I just perceived, I just knew it happened. I cannot explain to you how. other than possibly I'm anointed or something like that.
Okay. Well, that's obviously a very, very serious experience, right? I can tell that this has obviously emotionally affected you. Let's talk about, let's break it down one at a time.
Physically, it'd be like a man walking into your children's rooms and laying on their body and holding them down and yelling in their ears without them being able to fight against it. And
that's definitely really intense, Wesley. Like you're not going to hear any arguments from me about the intensity of your experience. That sounds like a very scary thing. But I am very curious because that experience is very contrary to my worldview, right? And I think also to Robert's worldview.
Absolutely.
In our worldview, we don't really have room for spiritual forces, right? We do accept that there's people that say that there are spiritual forces and that they've had spiritual experiences, but we tend to typically believe that there may be alternative explanations as to why that might have happened. So can I ask you, what makes you so sure that what happened to you was specifically a supernatural or, a spiritual experience rather than some other explanation?
Knowledge in the Bible and faith.
Okay. So it was knowledge in the Bible that gave you the understanding that your experience was a spiritual one.
Yes.
Okay. So if you didn't have that knowledge of the Bible, let's say you didn't have that knowledge, would you have interpreted it as a spiritual experience?
If I hadn't had that, I would have to give you an imagined answer. But let's say that I didn't know the Bible. I would have thought it was some kind of sleep paralysis and some kind of psychotic mental breakdown.
Yeah.
Some psychological factor, right?
Yeah.
Sure. I would, in worldly terms, yes.
I agree with you, Wesley. Like that, to me, when you described your experiences, both of those two things came up to me as possible explanations. Now, I also have knowledge of the Bible. Granted, I'm not a Christian anymore, but I will say I've never quite had an experience like that. So,
me
either. That is maybe going to be a difference between your worldview and mine. I'm not sure how I'd be able to convince myself that your experience was that of a spiritual one. What do you think you would have to do to convince me of that?
Well, I just wanted to say that as words. And I also would hope we can speak now about the one world order and how the rapture will begin. The one world order being what will be called the Omni tattoo or the Omni mark, a $32,000 account of Egyptian oil bank money will be released. And every person branded gets 32.
You getting real specific. So
I want to try to take things one step at a time here, just to make sure that like we're on the same page. Because I do believe once again that you had a very intense experience that like obviously affected your worldview, and I'm very curious about that because it sounds like without that experience you would perceive the world differently. Like, is that true? Like, do you feel like your perception of the world changed after that experience?
I'm still the wicked old bastard I ever was, if that's what you mean.
Oh, no, I just mean, well, look, I don't have, like I said, I don't have room in my worldview for spiritual forces, right? Like, there's nothing that I've ever heard in my lifetime that has really made me think at the end of the day, at least where I stand currently, like, yes, that probably points to something that's beyond humanity, something metaphysical, right? So like I want to be able to make that leap. I want to know how you got there.
Yeah. Well,
knowing
that has caused me to look at people differently. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I would imagine it would. So let's I want to know this though. Like, in my worldview, I think you either probably had a sleep paralysis experience or some other sort of mental difficulty. Why do you rule those experiences out? What do you think makes those less likely?
Well, I believe it is the fire pulled down from heaven. When Satan said, "Don't tell the vision," I did see with my eyes a spirit, an unclean spirit, like a frog. On its throat were two fangs that were curved like Arabian daggers. They looked like rails, curved rails for a railroad, and they pointed up, but they were not in the mouth. The spirit was black. It was blind. It had no ears. And on its forehead was that mark, that Omni UPC barcode. I saw that with my eyes. I only saw it for a brief moment on a person that I used to know. And I believe that came out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, out of the mouth of the false teacher, I saw an unclean spirit like a frog. And when Satan said, "Don't tell the vision," that was the moment the dragon, out of his mouth came the unclean spirit like a frog. And I believe that is the first of 3 of those events.
Yeah. Okay.
It looked like Darth Kermit. Do you remember Darth Vader?
Yeah, and I've seen the memes of like Darth Kermit and stuff, right? I've been asking you a lot of questions because I like to go kind of down my thought train with it, and I want to give Robert just a quick chance to talk to you, and then let's see if we can like go anywhere with this conversation because I'm curious, but I don't know. What do you think, Robert?
Yeah, I think it could be some psychological factors, like we alluded to. Dreams can be influenced by thoughts and our emotions and our subconscious. So it could be. Was there anything that happened before that you experienced before that, or?
Not really. It wasn't a dream, those words, "Don't tell the vision," or "I will turn and toss you violently like a ball." It was a physical event.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I believe that several times, other than it didn't speak, it merely paralyzed. That there were other times that Jesus loosened Satan, and Satan chose not to say words, only to paralyze the body. Those dates I couldn't tell you when that is. And I can't really blame you, and I have to understand you for saying, was that a psychological sleep apnea or paralyze or sleep paralysis, or maybe a what is it they call that when people have contractions or their body jerks, a palsy? I couldn't blame you for thinking that it might possibly be something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those.
That's really all I know. That's really all I know about it. I really couldn't alliterate more about it than that.
Sure. Okay. Well, maybe that's a good place for us to kind of wrap things up, because I do want to take at least one more caller before the end of the show. So, Wesley, I think I'm going to go ahead and let you go here. But thank you for sharing your experience with us. And I wish you well. Obviously, we have a very different worldview than Wesley does. So yeah, I don't know what else to say on that, Robert. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It could be any of sleep paralysis, hallucination, stress, anxiety. I mean,
I will say this: if this is not just for Wesley, but for anybody who's ever had a very intense experience like that, whether you think it's spiritually motivated or not, I do think it's a good idea to seek mental evaluation. And I don't mean that as a derogatory way. I don't mean, I think there's something wrong with you, but it's good to get checked out, right? I think mentally healthy people should also be able to evaluate their mental health without judgment, and be able to understand what's going on within themselves, and let professionals be able to tell us what kind of tools we can use to examine our own selves. And I think an experience like that is worth a visit to someone,
Right. And when I say hallucinations, I mean not just from a standpoint of someone taking like certain drugs or things like that, but like, it happens a lot when you're between wakefulness and being asleep. The mind can produce hallucinations.
Yeah.
And things like that. So it's yeah, it could be.
Yeah. The mind is a tricky thing, right? And can give us a lot of information that doesn't actually reflect the world. But Robert, I was going to do a truth bomb today. I don't know if we're going to have time for it. Instead, I think what we're going to do is maybe I'll do another one for next week. And right now, I want to take another caller here because I think this call subject will be interesting. And this will probably be our last call for today. We have Phil who's calling in from Texas. Phil, you are live on Truth Wanted. What's up?
Hi, Dan. Hi, Robert. Gentlemen.
Hey.
Doing well.
What's up?
No.
Hey, well, I'll be brief. I followed a lot of skeptical channels and atheist channels. I am an atheist. Followed a lot of the people like Pelagia and people like that. And just for fun, I would look at channels like Mud Fossil University and Hans Wormhat.
Hell
and
yeah.
Gina Maria Colvin. And they were original, and Coast to Coast AM. That's a good one.
Yes.
And originally they were entertaining. They were like, and then I became a little frightened that people took this in hook, line, and sinker, and now I'm starting to get pissed off. I'm starting to get angry that people can just spew bullshit like that out there, and they don't get challenged. And if you do challenge them, they just block you.
Yes, yes. I'm with you on that, Phil. I mean, literally the reason why Truth Wanted exists, one of the reasons is, look, I don't think there's enough talk in the space about these alternative ideas. We focus a lot on mainstream religion, which is of course a discourse that I participate in regularly, but also like there's so much more on the, I mean, like people have literally changed, people like our politics, candidates have been voted because of fucking QAnon. Okay. Like shit's different. It hits different now. Like, it's not just like, some guy, that lives in their mom's basement posting online. It's like your people you go to work with. It's people that are just like out in public that believe in pretty wild stuff. And yeah, it is definitely harmful, Phil. You're preaching to the choir.
Some of these channels have 150,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Gina Maria Colvin is convinced that Cthulhu, the H.P. Lovecraft creation, the old ones, the old gods, she is convinced that Cthulhu is alive at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. She's convinced.
Hell yeah. Yeah, and Cthulhu also took down the submersible that was trying to get to the Titanic. Yeah, 100%.
Oh, I heard.
I don't actually believe.
I heard it was aliens.
There are people that are saying a lot of things about that event. But I hear you, Phil. Like,
here's what I want to ask you about. What do they call it? The predictive programming. If you see it in a movie, that's them tipping us off that it's real.
Okay. All right, Phil, you're going to think I'm crazy, but low key, mainstream media publications have attempted this. And I'm going to give you an example. There is a recent video that was put out by Defunct Land, which is a great YouTube channel if you're interested in facts about old amusement parks and like Disney Channel, I guess. He did a full documentary on who made the Disney Channel theme. Okay, I promise you I'm getting to a point here. Anyway, long story short, he interviewed a lot of people. He interviewed former folks who worked on an executive level or with executives at Disney I'm going to give you a rough quote, but who basically said the following. When Finding Nemo was coming out, right, and they knew that Finding Nemo was coming out like the next year, they put a segment on Disney Channel where they talked about fish facts, right? They want to get kids interested in marine life and fish. And the idea behind that was they wanted to get kids excited for when Finding Nemo came out. They want to have my kid has an interest in fish. This is going to be a great movie. Like, shit, people do that shit. All right. That's real. That's real shit right there. I'm not saying every single instance of people saying predictive programming is a thing. Like, people usually mean that when they're talking about like political events, but like, there's something there.
Well, I get what you're saying, and who doesn't like fish?
Exactly.
But Gina Maria Colvin is convinced that the Borg in Star Trek were preparing us for disclosure because the Borg are real. The Borg are up there. There are cubes. There's a spaceship in every cloud. Roger Spur is convinced that there's 1,000-mile long dragon, the corpse of 1,000-mile long dragon, which is physically impossible for a creature
Yeah.
of that size to even exist. I mean, we can all mock flat earthers, right? And that's easy. That's an easy target. But my God, the weird. Okay, today Gina Maria had. She will slow down the videotape. Oh, look, that's AI. That person doesn't even really exist. That's a clone. That's a person in a mask. It's like, where does the fucking insanity stop?
Right.
Yeah, I know.
That's all I had. I
hear you, Phil. Robert, go ahead.
No, that's what I think, Dan. That would be a good question for one of the weeks or whatever about the best to see the best conspiracy theories on this submarine. I guess also.
Yeah. I mean, look, I know I'm like again the guy that talks about all this crazy stuff, right? All this wild stuff, but it's like I feel like my focus has changed. I think like when I was first really interested in this, it was more out of like fascination. It was more out of like not exploitation, but like more like, wow, there's a lot of stuff out there. And now I feel like I have more of an like activist duty to be like, no, I have to make people aware of this now because their grandmas and their parents are going to like start talking to them about like some of these ideas. And I want to give people some effective background information to like communicate with it. Right. Because it's like the internet has changed the way people talk about everything. I mean, like every single weird idea you can think of. There's some TikToker out there who's like, got 1 million views talking about it and making it cool. Like it's we're living in a different media ecosystem and we just don't know what the ramifications are going to be. Like we just don't. It seems pretty bad.
The debate. I'm waiting for the debate on whether in a fight between Cthulhu, Godzilla, and the Blob, who would win? What do you think?
It's interesting.
Depends on Godzilla, Blob. I think because the Blob could just like suck them both in, but Godzilla could burn them up. But Cthulhu has mind control, so who would win?
Depends. If we're talking about the American Godzilla from the 1999 film Godzilla, that's a hard fail. But if we're talking about
don't even mention that fucking movie.
Well, listen.
No true Godzilla fan even acknowledges that.
Let me tell you. Look, if we're going to talk about kaiju, we got to get our kaiju mythology on the same page here. Okay, we're talking about like future Godzilla. I'm into it. Okay. But anyway, I don't know. I don't know the answer to it, Phil. Okay. But yeah, I agree. Shit's pretty bad. I wish more people thought the way I do, but you know what? I don't live in that world. The best I can do is I don't know, host a call-in show and see what happens, I guess.
you're doing a great job, Dan and Robert. Thank you for both of your good efforts, and let's just keep pushing back when we can.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Phil. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and let you go. And we actually do have one other caller that Crew is saying we should take on. So I think we're gonna go and just zoom right into that since we are at the end of the show. But we have Gabe who's talking to us from Wisconsin. Gabe, you are live on Truth Wanted. What's up?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey.
Going good. Listen, Crew convinced me that I should take you. Okay, so I hope you have something juicy for me, Gabe. What do you got?
So I was listening to another podcast on YouTube, and they're talking about aliens and possible intersections with theism. So I kind of developed a hypothetical. If an alien visited Earth, and they could verify that it was in fact an alien from a distant galaxy, and they gave us a similar story about Jesus or some other, religious figure that we have here on Earth, would that inch you toward that religion at all?
That's a great question. Yeah. I've thought about this before, but Robert, have you heard of this? This is an interesting thought.
No, I didn't hear fully. If aliens came,
so here's the idea, right? An alien comes to Earth and says, "Actually, I'm a Christian, and we believe in Jesus, and we believe in this messianic figure that came down and saved the sins of us alien folk." Would that make you believe in Christianity more?
Christianity?
Yeah, well, I guess that's a big thing, right? Because it's like, what are they saying? Are they saying Glib-Glob, the alien Messiah, or are they saying Jesus Christ of Nazareth? I don't know. There's some identifiers there, right, that need to be made out.
Right.
What's
Well,
the
I would,
scenario here,
I would
Gabe?
need,
Are we
hey,
saying specifically Jesus?
I would need some damn evidence, man.
Yeah. Gabe, what do you think?
It
Oh, Gabe.
depends on the
Yeah, there
evidence.
you go.
I'm thinking,
Go ahead.
if they're, if they're coming with a picture and a name of Jesus Christ, that's a hard one.
Listen, you
I guess
got to think
depends
about
on
it,
what
right?
the surrounding mythology is.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I mean, how do you know that the aliens didn't know that we are grasping with this very question, and they're trying to,
Ooh, dude, Robert's thinking. He's thinking, yes, this is 4D chess by the aliens. They're trying to they're trying to fuck us up, dude. That would throw nukes. Like that would drive us crazy. That'd be a good move on the aliens' part, because they would use our religions against us.
Damn.
Right.
That's true. And that's the thing too, right? That's what doesn't make sense. Jesus came to Earth and then talked to a few thousand people in his lifetime, and then just said fuck you to every native person on Earth and every other continent. Like that's what's kind of weird about it, right? Because you had to bring Christianity to them. Like Jesus didn't come to them, so he just decided to fuck off to Mars and save Martians, but didn't go to Africa or something. I don't know. What's the deal there? Is Jesus an Israeli nationalist that only wants to help, I don't know, the people of Israel? I guess. I don't know. That would be weird.
Got to save us on each planet.
He got some he's shown some favoritism as far as people on Earth that he wants to show up to, right? So.
I'm sure if they're technologically advanced enough to come down to let us know, they can give us some sort of give us some good evidence to prove and what they're talking about.
It's true. That's basically the plot of Dead Space, is hey, look, we found this marker and now we have a new religion, but it's actually aliens trying to fuck us up. So something to think about. Anyway, Gabe, I will let you go because we are at the tail end of the show here, but I liked your thought. I liked your
absolutely
hypothetical. That was a good one. Robert, we are coming to the tail end of Truth Wanted. Now that you got a real episode under your belt, what do you think?
I like it. I like it. It's I got my cherry was popped, man. No, I enjoyed it. I've never been on a platform like this, and so no, I appreciate it. I appreciate you, Cynthia McDonald and Atheist, the network, community network, and Truth Wanted, and everybody in YouTube, Dan, and people that I haven't mentioned. I forgot to mention Katie and everybody else.
Yeah.
To have me.
We are happy to have had you on a real episode of Truth Wanted. Folks, if people want to find you, Robert, where can they find you at?
Well, as you see the name in the bottom, but it's there you go. The Real Nordic Black. My YouTube channel, where I talk about, interview historians and social activists and things like that, atheists and YouTubers and stuff like that. Also on Facebook, where I post heavily, as you know, Objectively Dan, on certain current issues, and I meme like crazy too. So there you go. I'm there. So and don't forget to like this interview and share this. I mean, not an interview, but this experience,
dude. Look at that.
And share, and support the Truth Wanted, and all the other affiliate networks. And check out my channel, and I'm sure my YouTube channel link will be in the description of this video, and you can go check me out.
Listen, it is not often that a guest does the shilling for me. That's great. Hey. Robert's like and subscribe, and he's right, by the way. You should like and subscribe and
got a plug. Gotta plug everybody in there. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much, Robert. And thank you, of course, to everybody watching the show and who supports the show, whether it's through Patreon, whether it's through being a member, whether it's giving super chats. You guys help make this show happen. And thank you guys so much for doing it. Stick around, because if you want to talk to me and Robert, we are both going to be on Discord on the after show. It's tiny.cc/ACD Discord on the fan run Discord server there. We're gonna hang out for a little bit and talk to folks. So definitely jump on that. And of course, last but never ever least, we have to thank the wonderful, fantastic, amazing, stupendous crew that help make the show happen every single week. Look at that crew, Cam.
Hey.
Doing the Lord's work. And by Lord, I mean our Savior, Satan, who guides us in the dark with his evil magic. And like, I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm not really a Satanist guy. I'm not like into that whole aesthetic, but props to you if you are. Look, folks, the segment this week for We Want the Truth is Without Being Abusive, roast Objectively Dan. And I have to reiterate, I get your game on, okay? Like, come on, come at me. I'm ready for it. I want to see what you got, because I've been excited for this one. I want this to be like the chance for you to say the things you thought were socially unacceptable to say, that you can say it because it's the internet, right? So go ahead, lay your roasts, but please be nice enough to where I'm gonna have to read it live on the air next week. So you know, consider that in mind. But that is our prompt for this week. And folks, that's gonna be it for this episode of Truth Wanted. Thanks so much for everybody for joining us today. Thank you, Robert, for joining us on the broadcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Objectively Dan. Remember to always keep wanting the truth, and I'll see you next time.
Peace.
Watch The Non-Prophets and join the hosts in the live chat, Sundays at 3 p.m. Central, between the Atheist Experience and Talk Hidden. Visit tiny.cc/YTNP.